Let's go! Welcome to Mystery Shack Look Back, a nostalgic time capsule and no spoiler book club of the original Gravity Falls fandom. We are your curators. It's me, Charlie.
Wow, it's me, Ella.
So because we used our special chiptune intro today, and we had that opening...
That means we're going to have the exciting conclusion of Dipper and Mabel versus the future today, right? I mean, how could you follow it up with anything other than the next episode? It was... The world is ending, right?
Well, the answer is, if there was something in the franchise you really wanted buried and for no one to hear about, this would be the prime time to put it out.
Oh, so like what you're saying is put it at the single most climactic moment in the entire series, and then everyone will forget about it.
So everyone will be focused on the climax?
Yeah,
everyone will be focused on the climax, so no one will play the video game. And that's a fun trick you can do if your video game's not very good.
Well, why would a Gravity Falls? If it's based on Gravity Falls, right?
Thus far, I mean, we've covered 2 games created by the Peruvian Flash programmers Bamtang, and they were out of the park. They were fantastic video game experiences.
Well, I see that this is a console release, right? This is a...
No, prior to the Switch, there used to be a definitive divide between what was a handheld game and what was a TV-held game is the opposite.
Yeah, because the TV kind of holds it.
It holds the game for you.
And holy infant, so tender.
And this is actually one of those ones that are for your hands to hold and curl.
Yeah, okay, got it.
It was a Nintendo 3DS game. Now, this is, interestingly, not the first time either of us have done content related to this particular video game.
That is true. It is not... Well, you've played it before.
I streamed it when it first came out. We had an announcement in what probably happens in Gravity Falls where me and Shelby played your ukulele and my kazoo, disrespectively. Shelby played the ukulele. I played the kazoo. And then I had narration saying, hey, we're going to stream the 3DS game on the day it comes out. And then what did you do how did you interact with this video game?
In a bit of redundancy with this podcast episode, I researched a little bit about the production of this game and the response to it I
don't see it as redundancy as much as, like, if you need someone to research Gravity Falls for a video, get Ella or Charlie. They already probably have the research on hand.
No, but yeah, my good friend Jenny Geist has a wonderful YouTube channel of the same name where she does spectacular video essays. They're incredibly well written and edited and executed all around. And
how much of them have you watched?
Quite a few, yeah.
Oh, then so you got a Jenny voice in there? Can we hear? Because when you watch a bunch of the same YouTuber, that starts to happen.
Do a pretty
all right. Let's hear it.
I gotta find.
Okay, yeah. Clear your throat.
All right, here we go.
Howdy, folks. I'm Jenny Geist. I'm from all the YouTube videos.
How did you do that?
Right? Wasn't that pretty great?
Wait a second.
No.
Ella, what's this
pay no
behind the
attention
curtain?
To the Jenny Geist behind the curtain. No.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I forgot this was a secret.
It is delightful to meet you, Jenny. I've heard so much about you.
Hello, Charlie. It's nice to meet you after listening to you on this.
Yeah, the Mystery Shack one.
And after listening to you on the video in question is
called... yeah, that's right. So to finish the story. So Jenny, we are good friends, and Jenny working on this particular...
Oh, thank you for telling Jenny. She wouldn't have known otherwise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was confused. I thought
Mortal
we were,
enemies?
like, kind of just frenemies.
I was thinking enemies to lovers was what I was
Well,
seeing.
and we're firmly in the middle of that. We are friends.
I probably shouldn't have brought this battle axe with me.
No,
we're not enemies.
Well, I've got all the cutlasses. I mean, just put it in the armory.
Okay, well, true. I'll put it in the armory. Yeah,
we're less than lovers, more than enemies. But yeah, so Jenny, we had a prior friendship, and she was working on this video essay about 3DS games and how it was kind of like the last era of licensed games being a commonplace thing. Yeah,
of title of the movie, the video game.
Yeah, and so
it was right as THQ was finally getting dethroned,
and that's in a certain little device that started showing up in people's pockets called the cell phone.
And then you could just do run games, which meant just using the assets from previous
like
run
Mystery
games.
Kids Run,
or Minions. The Minions one. I saw a lot of kids playing when I worked at an elementary school.
You can always do a match 3 game and just have it like, oh, it's you're doing a match 3 thing, but a guy you know is on the corner.
But that's the world as we see it today.
No, it reminds me of when
look back podcast.
when everyone wanted them to announce a Simpsons Hit and Run remaster, and they just announced more expansions for the tapped out mobile game that no one likes.
Yeah, and
I have a funny story about that game actually, where I played it a little bit when I was younger. I had like an iPod Touch when I was like 13, and I would check it out. Because I was a Simpsons fan back then. And then when I got to like level 20 in the game, there was a joke where on the flavor text, Nelson's like, "Ha ha, you wasted your time on this game."
And you were like,
it made me
my
realize,
gosh, you're right.
I am wasting my time on this game. I should stop playing it. And then I did, and I never looked back. So that's...
You're right, Nelson.
That's the current state of mobile games for me. I play them until I
do
realize...
deserve to be haw-hawed at. I have wasted...
Thank you, Mr. Funny Laughy Guy from the Yellow People TV show.
I like when he says "ha ha."
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny.
I like it when the smaller yellow man goes, "Please consume my pants."
Yeah, eat pants.
That's a funny one. And I like when that little
please consume.
I
my
like when the
short
little
pants.
baby and the dog, they go on like time travel adventures.
Oh yeah.
What?
It's funny because they don't usually do that in real life.
I like how the little baby has that British accent.
Yeah,
He's
it's
always
that
trying to
evil
kill the
kind
mom.
of evil genius vibe to
where'd
him.
they get that British accent? They're not British. They're in Rhode Island. Doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
wait a minute.
Wait, I thought they were. Wait, you know where Springfield is?
Oh
wait,
yeah,
I think I'm getting two different.
Oh
shows
wait a
confused.
second. Oh sorry, I was getting it mixed up with.
Oh no, you're thinking
yeah.
of Bender.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Jenny was working on this video, and there happens to be a Gravity Falls game that came out around that era of 3DS games. And like Charlie said, when you need research done on Gravity Falls, you call one of us, and she...
And we have an email, mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com if any of you need
That's
help
true,
with that.
yeah. So she messaged me like, hey, could you help out with some research for this? And I don't remember exactly if you knew what you were looking for and just couldn't find it, or was it like...
It was that, yeah, there was things I had heard before, but I didn't remember exactly where it was, and I didn't know if you already had it on file, because I figured you guys would eventually cover it.
Because Gravity Falls Legend of the Gnome Gemulets is a platformer video game for the Nintendo 3DS, based on the American animated television series Gravity Falls. Oh no!
Wait,
it's too obvious that I copy-pasted this from the wiki.
It also plays on the Nintendo 2DS, I think the wiki was missing out. And the 3DS, what is it, XL?
3DS XL, the new 3DS, the new 2DS.
Oh, the new 3DS
XL.
Lite Junior Super?
Yeah, that
and
one.
And it also plays on
On Citra?
citrus fruits, Yarhar.
Yeah. Well, that's how you don't get scurvy from all the pirates.
Exactly.
It was released on October 20th, 2015, around no particularly important date in Gravity Falls episodes. It was developed by Ubisoft Osaka and Ubisoft San Francisco, in conjunction with series creator Alex Hirsch. How many days after Dipper and Mabel vs. the Future was this? In what time span of holiday was this released after?
Well, you know, about a week.
About a Hanukkah after Dipper and Mabel versus...
Approximately one Hanukkah, 8 nights, exactly.
Yeah, after Dipper and Mabel versus the Future.
Yeah.
Was
Which
it-
I legitimately
future now.
believe was to minimize press towards this game, because there would be so much press about that episode still that it would be hard to Google.
Yeah, like at what point in the production did they decide that would be the release date and know the release date of that episode as well? So is this game a great miracle? Because I have not played this yet. I'm about to, but both of you have. So what are your respective opinions on
I'm
it?
gonna actually... Okay, so it's, I would call it, if anything, a clone of the Donkey Kong Country games.
Not a particularly great one, but not a terrible one.
For me, as someone who loves the Donkey Kong Country games, seeing someone doing it with a worse game engine is fun. It was fun for me. I had fun. I like this game.
It's
not
It's not what I
perfect.
would say a Gravity Falls game should be. I mean, I think...
No, but that already exists. Bamtang got to that.
Yeah, we got
It
Pine's
took care of
Quest.
that already.
So only this game had a few similarities to Pine's Quest.
I would love to be on call while you play Pine's Quest if you haven't done that yet.
Oh, I should do that. Yeah, I've watched bits of it,
And
but...
it takes enough elements from Pine's Quest and Rumble's Revenge, good video games. Now, It is interesting that Ubisoft, the company that made Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, would borrow from a Flash developer from Peru for their gameplay.
Well, you gotta borrow from somebody.
Yeah, and I don't really know what to expect, to be honest, because Jenny, in your video, you basically summed it up as, like, the game's presentation is amazing, but the actual gameplay is just fine.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
So I guess it
is an okay Donkey Kong Country clone, is how I would have, if you asked me of the quality of this game, that is what I would say.
I guess to give some context, the game uses the UbiArt engine, which some people might recognize from Child of Light or Rayman Legends, and it's a gorgeous, like, graphical engine, and it really captures the 2D art style of Gravity Falls, and then the gameplay is just whatever.
You can find out more Jenny's complete thoughts on the game, or, well, you'll find them here as well, but that game plus other 3DS licensed games in the video in the description below. Check it out.
Yeah, my favorite part of that video was just how bad the regular show game looks.
Yeah. And the Korra one.
The Korra one.
Oh, the Korra one looks like it was made in Photoshop by like some teenagers who met on Tumblr.
The cutscenes were my favorite part of that game, just because the dialogue, it seems machine translated, and I don't want to say this in a way where it's like this is made by some foreign studio.
I fed the entirety of Legend of Korra through this AI, and then it made me an entire video game.
It begged me to stop.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess that's what I figure the experience will be, but we won't know until I play it, so I'm gonna go play it now.
Let's find out.
Only one person can solve the mystery of Gravity Falls. You! Get ready to join Dipper, Mabel, and all their friends to unlock the secrets of Gravity Falls on the Nintendo 3DS system. What will you discover? Gravity Falls, Legend of the Gnome Gemulets. Here we go.
So, I just played Gravity Falls, Legend of the Gnome Gemulets for the...
Did you love it?
Gonna be honest, didn't love it. I know I love most things about Gravity Falls, but this might be the first bad piece of content that we're talking about on this podcast.
So I've played way more bad video games than Ella has. I've played way more video games than Ella has.
In general, so statistically, you have played more bad ones.
One of my favorite video games is a Zelda Link's Awakening clone based on Quest for Camelot. It plays like absolute but like I know the Zelda mechanics enough that if someone is trying to copy and paste them, I could be like, I can figure out how to get past the bad parts of this game. Same with Star Fox Adventures. So for me, my experience was like, I am more than happy to play bad Donkey Kong Country. And Ella, who is not as big a Donkey Kong Country fan as me, and doesn't know the mechanics,
I'm not particularly attached to regular good Donkey Kong Country, so I don't really want to play a bad version. And also, you were talking about your experience with Mario Sunshine? Was it Mario Sunshine?
My experience with Mario Sunshine is the game is broken. It doesn't work, but I am more familiar with it than I am with other games. So just because it doesn't work like a video game doesn't mean I'm not amazing at it. And a friend of ours just had been saying for years, I'm just bad at all video games, until the first time she saw me play Super Mario Sunshine. So that's kind of where I am, is I have monkey brain, or monkey and gorilla brain, respectively. And
I think the important distinction there is that Super Mario Sunshine is less a video game and more just a product they tried to put out in 2 years because the GameCube wasn't doing well.
But okay, so that's all there, but also the summer vibes are on point, and there are some fun parts of that game.
And so, but that idea of
I'm just amazed that you'd think that the Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag people making a ripoff of another fantastic pirate video game, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, would be my favorite thing, and I liked it.
Yeah, based on one of your favorite things. Yeah.
It was good. My favorite TV... Yeah, the people who made the pirate game ripped off another pirate game and made it about my favorite TV show, and it's fine.
Yeah, so... But that idea of this game is broken, but I'm learning to play it in the way that it is broken is eventually what I settled into, but And granted, maybe this is due to the
You
fact
sunshined
that...
it.
Yeah,
we
but
call that in the video game industry. That's sunshining.
Maybe
like that.
It's due to the fact that we were playing it on a very legal form of playing video games that is so admirable.
We were.
It's so admirable.
I've never committed piracy, and that's well known about
It was
me.
so legal that the police came and said you can go to reverse jail, which is just a really like nice hangout spot where
it's so legal and so good and so moral that one might want to emulate this behavior. Is all I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
Also, I will also point out that we are not going to promote piracy on the podcast.
But we're also not going to promote buying this game legally.
I'm also pointing out that no one who worked on this game will profit if you buy. There are no new copies of this game. The 3DS store is down. So if you buy a copy of this game, the money goes to the previous owner who does not work with Disney or Ubisoft.
And then they'll say, "Sucker!"
They'll be like, fine. They'll be like, can you? So I'm trying to sell this copy of Gnome Gemulets. I bought it for 40. Will you buy it for 4? How about?
And then they'll disappear. They'll disappear in a cloud shaped like themselves.
And then they'll send you to actual
and now,
jail.
Ella, another thing is, Guybrush Threepwood did once tell us never pay more than $20 for a game.
Yeah, he did. He sure did. I didn't listen. Wait, no, I did, actually. No, I did. I did listen. The people who bought this game didn't listen.
Legally, you didn't listen. As far as the listeners are concerned, you ignored Guybrush Threepwood. However, I will point out that FineLeatherJackets.net has revised that joke adjusted it for inflation, which would be $43.31. So anyone who bought this game is in the clear.
Yeah, so just 40. I can sum it up as like, if this were a browser game, I'd be like, this was an above average browser game. But this is a $40 handheld console game.
You're saying that, but I'm comparing it to the Gravity Falls browser games,
which are above average.
Yeah,
I'm saying it's like, oh, this was a good browser game. Those are, I would say, great.
Do you want to stop complaining about it and talk about the video game?
No, I don't. I'm talking about the video game is going to be me complaining about it, and you just all have to make peace with that.
Got it. All right.
I will say though, as soon as I booted up the game on the very legal system that is so legal, it is so good and moral, you might want to emulate that behavior. It is visually beautiful. It like the opening, it kind of mimics the theme song, and like you said, Jenny, it has that UbiArt framework engine for that 2.5D sort of vibe, and
they actually had Alex Hirsch do the key art for that.
That's correct.
So it looks like Gravity Falls.
I don't know what key art means in a video game context.
I'm guessing the dialogue poses for the characters.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or possibly, since they're kind of like 2D puppets, maybe like Drew Dipper's head for the sprite.
I believe by key art it meant like the box art, like the art they used.
Oh, that's true, because the box art definitely looks like his style. So
yeah,
his specific drawing style as versus, you know, obviously the character designs are based on his drawing style, but that specifically looks like his drawing.
Yeah, like because if you go into like the Mystery Shack, it's sort of translated into 3D, as in it moves with dimension.
Yeah,
as you
and
move
obviously this was on the 3DS.
I mean, in all honesty, it's a gorgeous looking game, and there are videos on YouTube of other people playing it. So that's if you are interested in checking it out, that is actually what I would recommend.
I think I've used the 3D feature on the 3DS exactly once, and that was in a store display. Have either of you experienced it?
I get motion sickness and have had people complaining that it gave them motion sickness, so I'm like, and I'm not even going to try it. We don't know what this slider does.
We have the person who never used it, the person who used it once, and I'm the person who used it a lot, actually. Well, mostly when it first came out. Like, I don't know why. When I was younger, I was very like fascinated with 3D stuff. I think it was right as like the big 3D boom in theaters was like, oh, it's cool technology, and I was the
computers made a movie?
Yeah,
but people's made a movie.
Where's the heart?
Wait, whoa, how's this thing coming out of my screen? Wait, no,
You're telling me a computer animated it? Not a fella?
I think my game's broke and the sky is coming out of it. I'm scared.
Rest assured that at no point...
I actually met someone who their first experience with a 3D game was someone whose TV speakers were broken. So the beginning of Mario 64, his floating head comes out and goes, "It's me, Mario!"
No.
So his first experience with 3D was actually... And then they hid under the couch.
And then his eyes turned to static, and photorealistic blood started pouring.
And then it was photorealistic. I noticed that about it.
Yeah, rest assured that at no point will we be resorting to cheap 3D tricks. Did you say cheap 3D tricks? So, but did you use it on this game? No, because you didn't. Because you did not play it on the console. Okay.
Because you too love oranges.
That is an accusation. I never said I didn't play it on the console.
You just turned the slider off.
Yeah, I just turned the slider.
Anyway,
that's all anyone has to know.
Point being, I wonder how it incorporated the actual 3D, but the 2.5G I think looks genuinely really good. Except for when sometimes Dipper will travel on the Z-axis, like to the back of the scene. And so he'll turn, and you'll see a back-facing view of him, and it looks really bad.
It's got big front-facing Phineas energy.
In there too.
Yeah. But even I never thought about how scary a back-facing one could be.
Some of the cutscene poses. There's one. Yes, I remember what it was. When Dipper screams, they don't redraw the hat. They just put the hat from his 3/4 view, so his hat is tilted weird on his head.
Yeah, his head is kind of getting eaten by his hat. But I mean, these are honestly nitpicks in the grand scheme of the visual
you don't need to
presentation.
don't need to nitpick the visual presentation
because
when
there's
the
so many
gameplay
things
has plenty of things for you
about.
to actually complain about.
Act like the game design.
Yeah. So Ubisoft previously worked directly with the creators of South Park for the Stick of Truth game. I don't care.
And then the Ubisoft San Francisco and Ubisoft Osaka also worked together on the South Park game Fractured but Whole.
Oh, we can't say that. So yeah, and now they are working directly with Alex Hirsch. Nice of them to do that.
And was Alex Hirsch happy about that?
We don't know yet.
I'm sure he very much appreciated that his characters were in a video game. Yes.
Do you wanna read this little blurb about Ubisoft?
Oh, sure. Ubisoft Osaka, formerly known as Digital Kids, was founded in Osaka, Japan. It was acquired by Ubisoft in 2008 and has since created many handheld titles, including Pets with a Z. I mostly
just asked you to read that so you could say Pets.
Yeah, Pets with the Z.
And then Ubisoft San Francisco was founded in 2009 to help with Rocksmith and often collaborates with Ubisoft Osaka. So this is a relatively new satellite, two relatively new satellites, one founded in 2008, one founded in 2009, making a 2015 game.
Yeah, but I mean, there's two of them. They're working together, and they're working with Alex, so...
And they're cool because they use a Z in the name instead of an F.
They did use a Z in the name Pets.
So they're cool.
And Osaka is also the home of Takashi Tezuka, who created Legend of Zelda.
Well, there you go. There's no reason this isn't a great video game, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, it could be...
You want to get into that?
Yeah.
It could be 4 hours long. That's one.
Or less. My
less.
First question is, so obviously this does not take place up to the minute of where we are in Gravity Falls, the show, because the world just ended. So we can't really... not much we can do there that wouldn't require you to watch the entire series. And yeah, it's a very continuity-heavy show. You gotta make it accessible, but when does this take place?
Yeah, because there's no mention of Ford, but there are mentions of Shermie?
Yeah.
Stan and Ford's sibling?
Yeah, and there as well as episodes that... I don't know if there's any that take place after Not What He Seems that are directly mentioned, but there are...
But the main villain of the game is Jeff the Gnome, who was the main villain of the first episode, and when we were playing it, Jenny made the joke, did they just watch, the first couple of episodes to get the gist and then start a whole video game?
Right, because Stan's dialogue is basically just Season 1 Stan, except for the end bit, which we'll get to later, but...
And Seuss's dialogue is just jokes from Pine's Quest, but less funny.
Mm-hmm. Except they are mentioning things from Season 2, and it's just very... I don't know, it is mostly fan nitpicky of me to say that, because it's still, function. It's fine. You can just say Stanford's in the basement.
Yeah, again,
or whatever.
we don't need to grasp at straws to talk about this game, because there's also gameplay in it.
Yeah, but what I really mean to say is, for such a continuity heavy show, and for Alex, who would like get mad at The Simpsons when stuff wouldn't make sense in a continuity way, it's like maybe like he was trying to place it on the timeline and just got steamrolled. Like that idea like just did not land with anyone else at the studios. Like he's gonna be like, okay, but if we can't mention that yet, because if we want it to place it like say in season 1, that happened in season 2, and they're just like, what are you talking about, nerd? We're making games over here, bro.
I think the weirdest part for me is that they could have just placed it in like the middle of season 2 before Not What He Seems, and they would have been fine. It would have been mostly relevant. But then,
yeah, I say this game takes place in season 1 with elements of it taking place
with
in season 2.
Additional written material by season 2,
especially because they reference Northwest Manor mystery.
Yes, they do. Yep.
And in a day after that episode is Not What He Seems. So unless this happened in like the 12 hours between Northwest Manor mystery and Not What He Seems.
I want to say it. Yeah. What if it takes place there? And then you talk to McGucket and he's just like, "Have you not been paying attention to what I've been telling you? The apocalypse is coming."
Well,
but our friends need some help with their Gemulets.
But we need some stupid idiot Gemulets.
We need to get, I don't know, you know how in video games you gather a couple of the same thing, but they're like themed to a level? We need to get those.
Yeah, so that's another big tentpole complaint that I have. I have many, many smaller, like, minor god complaints in my pantheon of complaints, but this would be like the Zeus or the Hera of my complaints.
This is a museum exhibit dedicated to how little fun Ella had playing a video game.
This is one of the big ones. Why Gnome Gemulets? Gravity Falls. I think you are right, Jenny. They must have really only watched the first episode, because Gravity Falls has such a big world to explore, and you can do so much, and yet we are making something up wholesale that is not interesting. And as soon as we get to that part of the plot exposition, I was like, oh, this really is the Legend of the Gnome Gemulets. That's not just a stupid name they invented. That's the plot of this video game.
That's all of it. All of it has to do with the fact that the gnomes lost their Gemulets, and they're mad at Jeff.
And yeah, because Jeff is a bad boss.
And it's like Temple of Doom, where all the rocks go into a bigger rock, and you have to find the rocks, and it's also really bad. So it's like Temple of Doom in that sense.
As well as when the way you get out of being Child Link in Ocarina of Time is put 3 rocks in their slots on a pedestal.
But this is also... in some ways, it's not as good as Temple of Doom, because nobody from this has gone on to resurface and star in a really good movie in a really good role.
Oh yeah, that's right. As well as, I mean, Steven Spielberg did not have fun making Temple of Doom, but he did meet the love of his life in the process.
Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody met the love of their life working on this game. Who knows?
I hope so.
It's entirely possible.
I got to go on this podcast because of this game.
Oh, okay, you're right. That is just as good, if not even better, than Short Round's actor going on
just crushing his performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
We were settling down to go to sleep because I was over at your place, and
you were asleep. I knew you were asleep, and then I screamed, "That was Short Round!"
I was in the midst of falling asleep, and I was like,
"Oh, that's right."
Yeah, it was a wild moment, and I think this moment is even better than that, because you're here, Jenny.
Yes, thank you. I mean, Mystery Shack Look Back is not everywhere all at once, but it will be here forever after this.
It will, because we'll keep paying to host the feed, and then
exactly,
hopefully in all other universes there's a Mystery Shack Look Back podcast, and we'll just go into those ones and in
the universes where we got a terrible season 3, we're gonna travel there,
and then we'll go.
And by the way, there are universes where there are season 3 of Gravity Falls. There are none where they are watchable.
Yeah,
there's no universe with a watchable season 3 of Gravity Falls that I would like.
Welcome to Rakakuni Look Back.
Yeah,
time capsule of raccoon. You know that movie?
With the raccoon.
But yeah, why Gnome Gemulets? Why? Well, and of course, at least, maybe they're playing with some kind of original, like, unique idea that they're all it's fire, earth, water, and air. Okay, got it. It's
yeah. Well, you have to understand that the 3 rocks you have to put in a pedestal to keep going in Ocarina of Time are fire, water, and grass. So, you understand.
But it makes sense in that world, and here it's like, you could do anything! It's Gravity Falls!
You could do anything. They just decided to
put the most generic thing.
They put the locations. In your video, Jenny, you pointed out, why would there be both caves and a mine when there is no difference in the gameplay? And the answer is because in Pine's Quest there is.
And that's a Flash game, so I don't care if it has caves and a mine. It's
made by not nearly as big a developer. That is correct.
It's like, okay, you guys do whatever you want. You're making a Flash game. It's an above-average Flash game, so you have an excuse. This is a $40 game, and
well, you say that as though there's any variation in the gameplay ever, because there's not.
Well, they give you two characters to control, so you can get a long-range weapon, or you could play as Dipper for some reason.
Yeah, Dipper's
skinny little noodle arms that are bad, and they suck.
And sometimes
Dipper, who famously is not good at punching, gets the punch move.
Yeah, and sometimes he can use the flashlight, and you get a touch screen puzzle. Those are great. Jenny, you want to talk about those?
Yeah, it's like you're actually using a flashlight, because you go on the bottom screen, you point where the flashlight goes, and then it points just like in real life.
You see, for those who are too young to remember, Nintendo was doing this thing for a bit where they're like, I wonder if you could market video games to grandmas.
I was going to contextualize it as DS refers to dual screen, right?
Yeah,
that is one of the things that it stands for.
Okay, and then sometimes they remember that there's another screen, and they're like, oh, we should probably use that.
And that's also what Wii games are like with the motion controls.
Yes, that's correct.
The hardest video game I ever played was, and then there were none for the Wii, because there is a padlock puzzle. Me and my sister learned the combination to the padlock, went to where the padlock was, and then had to use our Wii remote like a real padlock, and they could have simplified it by making there like 12 numbers on the padlock. No, there was the normal amount of numbers. And we had to rotate our Wii remote and couldn't feel an actual click like you can with a padlock. And that took about 4 hours, even though we had the combination memorized.
That's not fun.
I summed up the gameplay as, when it is hard, it is impossible. And when it is easy, it is dull as rocks.
When it was good, it was very, very bland, and when it was bad, it was horrid.
When it was bad, it was almost unplayable. I had to use save states on the legal method
I remember
of playing
you were
games.
playing. We actually played this in 3 sessions. At the end of the second session, Ella was on the end boss, and I'm like, do you want to record the podcast tomorrow? And Ella was like, I do. I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, the combat's bad. I don't know how else to say it.
No, that's how you say it, because I like the video game reviewer that just summarizes things like that.
Because the game is really bad, you guys.
Yeah, they did a bad job at the game on purpose.
It sucks. It's sucking.
And I don't
like it.
All I hear about is Gemulets. Gemulets.
The problem is that, like, there aren't that many enemies. There's basically 2 types of enemy. There's the one that shoots projectiles that you have to reflect back with Dipper.
Yeah,
and and Ella did not like those.
Let me talk about. I will let you get back to the second type of enemy, but since you brought that up, Dipper's charge punch, which is how you have to deflect projectiles back at those enemies. I had to do a Mario Sunshine on it, because you would think that you hit it when it's close to you, but you actually have to hit it when it's not close to you. When it's not totally far away from you, but not when it's close to you. Because that is how hitting things work. That's how close range attacks work, I'm told.
Oh,
Dipper allegedly has the close range attack, but it's not.
I have a question for Jenny.
Yes.
In side-scrolling games, when you are offered the option between a close range and a projectile, have you ever, in a single side-scroller, used the close range?
No, never. Because
there's my favorite side-scroller is Ghouls and Ghosts by Capcom. There's a thing that Ghouls and Ghosts fans know, that if you see a sword drop, you try to dodge it so it doesn't equip it, because you can only have one item at once.
Yeah, and I don't want to have one of those where it's like, oh, it's more powerful, but it's close range, and it's like, well, then I'm not going to do it.
No,
Because
you're saying the projectiles take longer to kill them? All right, I will be patient.
Yeah,
and I'll be further
I
away.
was usually just like, because Dipper has these power bracelets that he can punch with or something, and then there's a...
Oh, those are also just straight up from Zelda. They changed them from a golden bracelet to like elastic, but no, that is just a Zelda item.
There's also a joke about how they're not bracelets, they're gauntlets, because he's a boy, because he's a guy.
Oh, that's a funny joke. That's
a
funny
joke. It's a good joke. It's a good joke.
Funny gender joke.
And Mabel uses her sweater sleeves like a whip, and I found myself often just whipping enemies over like 10 times rather than use Dipper. But what's the other type of enemy, Jenny?
So the other one are these ones that have these like purple force fields around them that only disappear if you use Mabel's whip because her sweater is purple, and that's the only reason.
Oh, that's stupid. I get it.
Yeah,
because it's purple. That means it can take away purple or something.
What if it was purple?
What if it was purple?
That's one of the first things they teach you in color theory. It's if you use purple against purple, then it makes the aura disappear.
Oh, and speaking of color theory, yeah, I got it. Some of Dipper's flashlight puzzles with the utterly riveting touchscreen mechanic. They really could not have incorporated that better or more. You have to match the crystals that you shine the flashlight on are the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and sometimes you just have to match them up to the light that you're supposed to shine it on to activate something. But other times you have to mix them. And usually I did okay. I am slightly colorblind for context. I sometimes cannot tell reds and greens apart, or greens and browns, blues and purples, stuff like that.
Reds and browns, I've discovered, is actually Ella's toughest. Like a maroon. Like, she found out that Edward's suit was red because we wrote it into a song.
Yeah.
And we sent her the song, and she was like, red! Oh, interesting.
Yeah, sometimes I find out these things. And I'm getting better at it, not because my eyeballs are changing, but just because I am learning how things look to me. But, yeah, so most of the time I was doing okay. And then I entered a room where the solution things that I had to figure out how to activate were red, green, and yellow, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Which also is when the Game Boy Color came out, they re-released Link's Awakening with an extra color dungeon. Again, they're just taking things from games I like and being like, but what if they were words?
They were not designed with people like me in mind, and because the yellow is a little too close to the green, which is
remember they they put a patch on Among Us where there are also shapes on the color puzzles now. So not only is it matched green with green, but now it's matched square with square.
That's accessibility. That's good.
And in Splatoon, they added a colorblind mode, or at least I think they did, where the only colors for the teams are ones that colorblind people can see.
Oh, I've had that. I had another colorblind friend who, because of Mario and Luigi, most times a first player is red and a second player is green.
Oh, yeah.
He just could not play two-player classic games because he could not tell which character was his.
Oh no.
As well as Wordle, I believe out the gate had a colorblind mode, or maybe that was after a few rounds, but New York Times, when they acquired Wordle, they kept it. It's still there. So kudos to Giant Corporation, I guess.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah, we love corporations. Send us
Print
free
media,
stuff.
you survive another day.
We love when corporations give us accessibility because they want our money.
Well, no, they didn't. They also... That's not them doing anything. That's just them keeping a feature that was already there. It's more work to take away the colorblind.
You're
mode,
right. So you have to make everything accessible before it's profitable. And then make it profitable once the accessibility is in place. And this game is just like, no, we're about the profit. We got to finish it so people will pay money for it.
Money.
Also, what's interesting is they could have spent more time on this game, but then it wouldn't have come out during the original run of Gravity Falls. And
I don't care.
Real-Time Fandub came out months after the final episode, and so many people watched the stream archive that Google Drive is like, yeah, we don't let people click this particular link anymore.
And also, we're gonna get to the finale on the 10-year anniversary of this show, so I think there's a certain staying power to Gravity Falls.
Yes, and for the summer after that, we will be covering exclusively expanded universe stuff. So if they released this around Journal 3, or it didn't have to be now and shouldn't have been, and they should have spent more time on it.
Well, who can say? But I was honestly tolerating all of this until the last section of the game. And for context, this is a joke stolen whole cloth from Mr. Plinkett, but I can't put enough quotation marks around the word story, so I won't try. The story of the game is that, Jeff the Gnome wants you to find the Gnome Gemulets. They have been taken by these weird creatures that don't really look like they belong in the world of Gravity Falls, and you have to find them and fight them, and it's the same fight every time, and then yada yada, you collect all the Gemulets, you bring them back to Jeff, but actually, Jeff has deceived you, because he just wants the Gemulets for himself to turn him into the ultimate leader, Dark Jeff. Yes, that's real. That's not a joke Jenny made up for her video. He's really called Dark Jeff.
Ella was convinced Dark Jeff was a Jenny original.
It's real. Nope. I didn't have footage because I lost the footage for that part.
You were like, oh, Jenny, I was calling you funny for years for making that joke. Turns out it was an observation.
Yeah, because so I guess I should mention that I was recording all of these different 3DS games at once for this video, and I ended up losing the footage for some of it, and that was mostly for the Gravity Falls Dark Jeff portions.
Yeah, so I did not get spoiled on the design of Dark Jeff, thank goodness.
It is just the same design as the other boss, but it has Jeff in it.
Jeff's face, yeah.
And Jeff is
and I said boss singular. I know we said you had to get Earth, Wind, Fire,
you're right.
Water.
No, it's one. It's the same.
But even the fire version of the same fella.
Those battles I did not mind until Dark Jeff basically turns the previous worlds that you've traveled into like a Dark Jeff version. I don't know. What do you want from me? I'm only one girl, and that's
there are three
where...
girls here, Ella. We were here to support you.
Yes.
Yeah, we make 2.66%.
There are exactly 2.55 girls in this call.
Yeah, there you
go. 2.5 girls coming to NBC.
A little over a half, 55%.
2 and a little over a half girls is the new FX show.
Yes.
It's a crossover between 2 broke girls and 2.5.
Yeah! But that last section is what brought it into actually bad. Like, that, for me, that's what brought it from, okay, this is beautifully presented, gameplay is fine, like what y'all were saying, to beautifully presented, but it's a bad game. Because the first room that you have to escape from, normally, the enemies you can just move past, and granted, some you physically cannot move past, but if you can physically move past them, the game will not punish you. And this, unless you're going for 100%, but who would do that?
So don't do that. Don't do that.
I was going to say, I might go back and do it 100% for fun, and then I thought, fun.
No.
It wouldn't be for fun.
I've already 100. I actually, after I finished the game, I was streaming every time I played it, and I did a game. I was streaming with Shelby, and so I finished a lot of the 100%ing when I had already scheduled a stream, and Shelby had to call out at the last second. And Valskibum94 joined me on that stream instead.
No, it would not be for fun. It might be for glory, I guess. But normally you don't have to fight the
Which
enemies.
means if you need any additional Gnome Gemulets research, that is actually when you're going to have to make sure at the top of the email say, Dear Charlie.
Well, I might finish it.
Okay.
I'm not a host here, so I don't have any obligation to.
You can't. No, you can be brought on as an expert. It's like how they'll bring in experts in court if they need an expert witness.
Yes,
I find our podcast is exactly like court.
Is our podcast permissible as evidence in court? Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah, we have honestly incriminated ourselves repeatedly.
Oh, in that case, no. The answer is no.
Well, it's not. No. We actually, no. If you actually listen this far into the podcast, you'll hear that all previous things said in this podcast are not admissible in a court of law.
That's
decided.
Correct.
We were just.
But from this point forward, everything is. So anyway, I was pirating this video game. Wait.
Oh no!
Yeah, in the first room of the final section, you have to defeat every enemy. You have to. You can't leave unless you do. And
you gotta either defeat every enemy or move in, set up camp.
Yeah, just live there now. And if you die, you are played. Sometimes, it'll give you the option to restart the sequence, which just places you back at the beginning of like roughly the section you were in. There's not really a clear checkpoint system, but in this room, you're at the beginning. So I had to save state every time I defeated an enemy, and that could take 30 seconds just for one enemy sometimes because they take like 10 hits.
We counted. It was 10
Yeah,
hits.
we counted.
In Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest, the mechanic that the character you're not playing as follows your character is so meticulously programmed, and here it's just like, they might just fall off a cliff. I don't really care.
Well, you don't get punished if they fall off a cliff, but you do have to, like, for instance, Mabel can use her grappling hook, which is good, but also stolen from Pine's Quest, which is fine because Pine's Quest is a good game, and you should steal things from Pine's Quest. It's good.
Yeah.
But she can use it to get up on top of an elevator and flip a lever, and then the elevator will start moving up and down, and you can continue up on that level. But Dipper will not follow you. Dipper does not get into the elevator. You have to go back down to get Dipper. And if you travel far enough away from Dipper, you can't. Mabel will say, I can't leave without Dipper, and
So that's probably based on Lost Vikings, which was a game unfortunately by Blizzard. But
well, you can say that
ago,
before every game developer now.
Yeah, which was unfortunate. I still have a little bit of...
Unfortunately, this game was made by a developer.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, a corporation worked on this video game. But, what was I... Oh, so Lost Vikings is a puzzle game entirely about using characters' different abilities to get to the end of a level, and you don't have to worry about other things. So you're focused on that, and that's the challenge.
No, and it's not like it's an interesting challenge of how to get Dipper back up to where you are. You just have to backtrack.
Switch to Dipper and walk back.
Well, yeah, you could do that, or just go back down. But either way, you have to do what you just did in a more boring way because Dipper's AI, when you're not controlling him, does not know how to get into an elevator.
Ella, you know what I would love to do with you at one point? Is stream Diddy's Conquest and Lost Vikings, just so you could be like, oh, so this can be fun if you do this in a game.
Oh, yeah, just give me this, but with Gravity Falls skins on it. So, Jenny, do you want to talk about how their attempt at justifying the shortcuts that they take? How did they try to make it work?
Well, so there's multiple times. Every time you finish a level, you have to go to the Gnome Forest and tell Jeff that you got the Gemulet. And then you tell Jeff, there's a little bit of jokes, and like, Jeff will talk. Jeff's a bad boss. I guess we'll get to that later.
Hey, I just have an idea for this game that I want to share with you guys.
Oh, tell me.
What if Jeff gave you like a magical gnome artifact when he sends you on this quest that kind of works like a walkie-talkie? So then you could tell Jeff you got the artifact from just where you're standing.
Oh, yeah.
But Charlie, you're not considering something that would make the game have maybe like 5-10 minutes less of content.
I mean,
you're right. It would, because you have to go back to the
You know what? Oh my! And the game opens with Stan tells you to go to the Gnome Forest, and then the next thing that happens in the game is that you are told to go to the Mystery Shack where
you just were.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the game opens. That's the first thing you have to do.
But what else? So continue, Jenny. What do you do after that?
After you tell Jeff, you have to leave the Gnome Forest, and then go to the Mystery Shack, and then you have to talk to Stan. You have to put your items in the museum, then you talk to Seuss, and then you talk to Stan again, and then you go to the next level. So
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And they justify the choices that they make with hilarious meta humor, right?
Oh, I love meta humor. It shows they know that it's bad.
Because if you could just make something bad if a character is like, hey, you didn't make it good.
Yeah, that makes it okay. Because...
It's like, hey, did you notice that this part of the game is really bad? It's like, oh, I got it. Dipper. This part of the game is really bad. All right, and then it's solved.
The one that actually made me angry was in the Dark Jeff levels, where someone just points out, like, wow, this sure seems like a great way for them to reuse assets. I'm Yosemite Sam, I decided.
Yeah. We just watched the last 2 episodes of Our Flag Means Death together, so Calico Jack's coming out to play a little, but that's
nice.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, because it's a good... See, here's what you learn from watching a lot of modern Simpsons, modern Family Guy, is that you can make something bad as long as you reference that it's bad. As long as you make a little like, oh,
wow, this show isn't really not that funny, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, wow. Holy crap, Lois. None of the jokes in this episode were very good. You want to do some rewrites? I don't have a good Peter.
Seth MacFarlane just references stuff from the 80s. We pointed that out.
Here's a cutaway.
Yay!
We do cutaways a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, they literally are like,
There's no clip? Okay, moving on.
Okay,
Matthew McConaughey is terrible.
Yeah, so that makes it all okay.
Holy crap, Lois. This reminds me of the time that Jeff sent me out to look for the Gnome Gemulets.
Holy crap, this boss is just the same one over and over.
I really hope in one of the next 3 episodes of this climactic Gravity Falls finale that Dipper or Mabel is just like, hey, remember that time that we helped Dark Jeff? we accidentally unleashed Dark Jeff.
Well, I imagine that they're going to want like the finale to be a big like everyone who's ever helped them or fought with them.
Oh, so you're saying the Gemulets bosses are gonna be there?
Oh, I was hoping. I was thinking that would be cool if just they brought them back for the finale. Yeah, I would like to see those bad designs move around in a much better animated space. No.
I want them to move. I want them to move exactly how they move in this game.
Right, and that's would be hard to look at. And what I'm actually going for here is I haven't had any reason to put in the eye patch yet. But if we just break my eyes...
Yeah.
Well, they could always have Bill Cipher be sort of a fake-out villain, because...
true villain, Dark Bill!
Yeah, at the end of Gravity Falls, they're about to fight Bill, but then... Uh-oh, here comes a big foot. Dark Jeff squashes him like the ant he is, and then it's like, now I'm the big... I was from the first episode. Isn't that clever?
I was thinking Bill would turn into Dark Bill, and he'd be an even worse Bill.
And then you have to watch season 2 again, but with the darker color palette.
Yeah, you have to go through those episodes with the saturation turned down.
That would do it. Then you have to turn off your TV and rewatch season 2. Just with...
All that said, I did beat the boss on Half a Heart without... I save stated when I got to Half a Heart, and then I finished that section on Half a Heart. I think that was like
what David did in Pine's Quest. What is disappointing though is I actually had a decent amount of health left when I defeated Rumble McSkirmish. So if we want to go back and just make that kind of uniform for the podcast,
yeah, we'll go back and make sure that you lose all but one half point of health before you beat the final boss.
Yeah, just so rule of threes sort of deal.
Rule of threes, exactly. You're right. And then it'll be really funny if we do it a 6th time.
But not a 4th. Seth MacFarlane taught me that. That's his favorite rule of comedy.
Mom!
How you Mom on that novel?
Mama!
Mama! Got a big stack of papers there?
Mama!
Got a nice little story you working on? Big novel?
Mom!
Working on it for 3 years?
Mommy!
Got a compelling protagonist?
Mommy!
Got an obstacle for him to overcome?
Mama!
Just
Mama!
brewing that
up. Mama! Wow!
Hi! I almost feel weird being on this podcast for the first episode where you guys don't like The Thing.
We love The Thing.
The Thing was great.
We love the 1982 John Carpenter film The Thing.
I walked right into that.
But we had to watch that. We watched that in Into the Bunker. Yeah, so you weren't on the one where we liked The Thing. That was a different episode of the podcast.
First one where you don't like the Gravity Falls content that's being covered in this episode.
Yeah, that's the issue with this is that I would have said I liked it up until the Dark Jeff section, and now I have to say I don't like it because I don't like it. But
my experience as someone who has played so many video games is unless it's like something legendary like Ocarina of Time or Undertale, usually there's just a part of the game that's no good and no one likes, and that's just kind of an aspect of video games.
That's most of this game. That part of the game that no one likes is most of Gravity Falls Legend of the Gnome Gemulets.
What I'm trying to explain to you is I've played parts of games that I otherwise liked that had a part that plays like that, and I'm used to it.
Sure, but Jenny, there's no one I would rather talk about this one thing, because I think even though it is more pessimistic, it's also much more interesting than us saying for the millionth time that we like a Gravity Falls thing.
Well, yeah, it's sort of nothing's perfect. Gravity Falls is gonna.
So you don't have to. I don't think you have to feel bad about that. I think that
I want to point out, if this is a good segue for you, Ella, that we are not the only people who don't like this game and don't want to play it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, a lot of the animations for Dipper and Mabel's movement were done by Dana Terrace, who did not play to check if they used them.
Although it is really good animation. I think they did use them because the animation...
They absolutely did use them. But yeah, that will be linked in the description. And then in one commentary, Alex vaguely says, well, too bad there's not a DS game or anything. And then Jason not getting the joke. We could play the clip.
I've always wished there was a Gravity Falls like Nintendo DS game or something.
There is a 3DS game.
That's true. I forgot about
Played
that.
it all the way through a couple times.
I
guys.
have not played it.
And also, when the Steven Universe Light trilogy was had an article written by Polygon, Alex replied to the tweet by Polygon and said, "Hey Disney XD, take notice. Get smaller, hungrier, independent studios to work with your IP to produce inspired results. Don't waste your money with big studios and lots of internal overhead. You'll burn your budget on meetings about meetings that get on someone's C team."
Yeah, like someone's satellite studio in San Francisco.
There are 2 new satellite studios that they just opened.
And the only other credited Gravity Falls crew member is Jeff Rowe. So that shows you how much actual Gravity Falls staff was involved, at least as far as I know. There might be one or others that weren't credited.
Yeah, but I also love that Dana is the only person in the US who has animated Gravity Falls, because whenever they need animation that they don't trust
they want 0 retakes on. Yeah,
that they want 0 retakes on. So I love that they only asked the Gravity Falls animator who lived nearish San Francisco after they realized they couldn't do it themselves. They didn't ask a Gravity Falls animator right at the gate.
Yeah. Only after they realized it didn't fit the Gravity Falls aesthetic did they ask an animator who worked on it.
You can tell because the jokes also aren't amazing. There's good lines in there.
Solid there jokes, are some very Alex Hershey lines in there.
Here is my favorite line in the whole game. It's a love poem for Melody. I'll translate it out of binary for you dudes. And I would like Seuss to just translate everything out of binary. For me.
We find out in the game that Seuss writes love poems for Melody and keeps them stored on floppy disks. We can all together we can all read a line.
Oh yes, it is a 3-line poem, and we all have a Seuss voice. Roses are red. Ham is pink. I've really grown to like you, I think.
The day we met lives on in my brain. I'm glad I rode on that plastic train.
I used to be scared of ladies and stuff, but when I'm with you, I can't get enough.
I have something to say, and I hope it's not rude. I really, really like you, dude.
It's really sweet. I love Seuss' melody.
Seuss is the best.
And it's funny to me that, there is something of an emotional arc, sort of, but... So this is a video game about a terrible boss who wants to be perceived as cool by his employees, but he does not treat them like
and it's made
people.
by Ubisoft. Don't worry about it.
And it is made by a video game corporation.
If you want a video about that...
And Jenny, I think you're the most well-researched on this, Jenny. Why don't you talk about why that's interesting?
Because Ubisoft is basically founded by a family of abusers. Yeah, awful.
Okay, this is just a single sentence when I looked up Ubisoft controversy. It's just like, oh, we're going to recap you on that real quick. It even starts, it's on Axios.com. It starts with, catch up quick. Ubisoft has been the subject of harassment and misconduct allegations since June 2020, with the claims of abuse by powerful men at the company offices in France, Canada, and Singapore that got unpunished for years.
Yep. And I talk about it a bit in one of my videos where I talk about the Apple TV Plus show Mythic Quest, which is about a video game studio, and it's produced by Ubisoft, who is a video game studio. And this show touches upon a boss who isn't super great, and Ubisoft has bosses that aren't super great.
Yeah.
And it makes for an interesting paradigm.
Matrix Resurrections is the only version of this joke that I like, because it's not by a video game studio, so they could just say whatever they want about that.
Yeah.
They can just directly call out Warner Brothers, because it's
our glorious parent company, Warner Brothers.
Good movie.
Wish
we watched that movie.
I never watched that movie.
And you, as well as you did a video about Blizzard?
Yeah, I did one about that, just like how these very controversial video game studios, where you know that through buying it, it's going to indirectly give money to these people who have abused people for years, and how it's, I mean, under capitalism, that's technically unavoidable, but it's also important to have your line in the sand where you're like, hey, maybe I shouldn't support this just because it would.
I just realized I spent money on Assassin's Creed and now I feel bad. Oops.
I mean,
It's
that's the
okay.
thing. Like, yeah, like we all have our.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't spend any money on Legend of the Gnome Gemulets.
Exactly.
What?
It
No,
evens
you
out.
did, remember?
Well, no, we did.
Oh, you're right. I did give money to
You
those
gave
abusers.
money to some guy who previously owned the game. He had it in his garage. He sent it to you in the mail. That is legal, but downloading it
Well,
from
that
the
guy
internet...
wasn't an abuser, as far as I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll give money to people. That's when people are like, people have asked me how to ethically engage with Harry Potter merch, and I'm like, buy them from trans people who don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
Or don't, because it sucks.
Yeah, or just don't
and I
even.
hate
Yeah,
it.
it's not even that good of a
I know,
book
but
series.
like if you like, yeah, well, that is true. That if you did purchase this game, it would have not been from Ubisoft.
Like, you
or
could ethically
Nintendo.
engage with Harry Potter, but why would you?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Because
Well,
at
there's
the
some
end
people
of
who
that
just
deal,
there are
you
some
have to
people.
read Harry Potter.
You're right.
That's not a fun thing.
Yeah,
do.
like my thing is like, do whatever you want, but if you're gonna engage
Do
with
what
something,
you want because a pirate is free.
if you're gonna engage with something that has a problematic background, just don't be acting like you're I can do this. Miku made this thing, or Miku made this thing.
Wait, now the interesting part about Blizzard is there any way at all to play World of Warcraft without paying for
Nope.
like a service?
Nope. As far as I'm aware,
A recurring payment?
I believe so. I'm not
Cool,
sure. though.
great. Love that.
I
And
love
it seems like just every month there's another big name video game studio, and it's either harassment, misconduct, or crunch.
Yeah, and Ubisoft was another one that was bad about crunch, and this being a licensed game is almost certainly crunched.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, granted, we have solved crunch, and it's not like there is any major title, perhaps based on a popular science fiction franchise crossed over with a popular toy franchise that had massive amounts of crunch. No.
I'm friends with the person who programmed when you play Pokemon Go with over 10 people, it says, please be careful of your surroundings. That pop-up message, I'm friends with the programmer of that. She told me when she got assigned another task, she's like, I'm really excited because that last one was way harder than this, and no one plays Pokemon Go with over 10 people, and no one has seen it. Yeah, apparently getting a message to interrupt an action that previously could happen in the program uninterrupted was hard.
It's just, so, point being, it was just it made me go, when there were all these jokes about Jeff the Gnome being like, none of the other gnomes like my humor, like my want to play foosball with me.
I bet a lot of the dialogue was written at Ubisoft San Francisco because people in Osaka have a different first language. Now, I want to point out the misconduct allegations were only in Ubisoft France, Canada, and Singapore.
Yes, but Osaka and San Francisco were new studios, and they probably didn't have time to harass employees. Unless
working at Ubisoft, what I'm saying is, what if working at Ubisoft San Francisco is just always a party, and that's why they felt comfortable writing those jokes?
Maybe, but...
Maybe one of the writers is the gnome, and he's like, I relate to these gnome issues.
Yeah.
Maybe they employ gnomes at Ubisoft San Francisco.
I was seeing myself in these characters.
Ella, how could you insult a corporation when they are the biggest employer of gnomes in the Western United States?
Maybe I should read more Harry Potter.
He does outright mention human resources, which is interesting because he is a gnome, so maybe it is just kind of a...
Yeah. They called it HR, and all three of us were like, GR.
It's
The joke is GR.
Yeah.
Here, let's turn it into a Gravity Falls joke. I better call up HR, or I guess, GR, huh? Boom, done.
Yeah, there you go. All you have to do is talk like you're in the writer's room, and that's Gravity Falls dialogue.
Yes.
Talk like you're talking to your friend and trying to make up jokes together.
And he just now realizes, oh wait, it would be gnome resources for us, because we're gnomes.
Oh wait, why is it HR? We're
I
not
should really
humans.
change that.
First motion of HR. Can we change it to GR? I think that makes more sense.
Or silent
it's
GR, so it's not confusing.
It's like references like that to HR that I'm just like, I'm a little skeeved. Are y'all skeeved? Because I'm skeeved.
We talked about this when we had Tony Goldmark on the podcast for the first time. Is like jokes. It used to be a common thing, common form of humor where people would pretend they were unhappy at work. And we don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get the joke. It's not really. I've been unhappy at work, and it wasn't very funny at all, actually.
It's the same thing of, like, I mean, it's not the same thing, because love is great and work is not, but, like, ball and chain jokes, you know? It's like, why are you joking about being unhappy in your situation instead of just changing your situation or, you know, actually complaining about your situation, right? Or, like, doing
when I call my wife
then.
my ball and chain, I mean it exclusively in the most loving and yet somehow PG scenario.
Yeah, no, I mean it in non-PG ways, but, you know, it's fine. I mean it in G-rated. I mean,
Exactly.
like...
I mean it like Chain Chomp from Mario, because he's
that's
funny.
what I mean, too. Like
I love Mario. Since there's no rules on what we make podcasts about, apparently, why didn't we just play Mario?
We should have just done that.
We should have just split Mario. He's Italian.
What is your favorite Mario, Jenny?
Me? I think it's between...
I love the answer of, like, I don't answer that question.
I'm not comfortable answering that. Well, I think, like, my nostalgic favorite is definitely Super Mario World, because that's the one I grew up on, and that one is just objectively good.
Game Boy Advance or Super Nintendo?
The Game Boy Advance version.
Just what I needed.
Yeah, exactly. Where he said, I miss his funny little voice lines. He's like, "Oh, mamma mia!" Like,
racism toward Italians was actually pretty prevalent.
Ended by Mario.
But it was prevalent until this guy.
Until 1985.
I know. And then we learned Italians also are heroes, like our Marvel heroes.
I love when people actually get to talk to an Italian and they're like, "Are you offended by Mario?" And they're like, "I love Mario. Are you kidding?"
Hey, look, just someone you know is gay. Someone you know is trans. Someone you know is Italian.
I don't think so, Ella. Listen, I'm comfortable with my friend group, and I've made sure that Ms. Cesare and Miss Medette. Wait.
Oh
don't
no.
think so, Ella Cesare.
Oh no.
Wait.
I might need to leave this place. Actually, I don't know if I'm comfortable being a guest here anymore.
Wait, do you hear that? Do you hear?
Oh no!
Hey, so my question is, what part of the Italian anatomy does funicula emanate from? Do you have a speaker, or
it happens when I pinch my hand?
When you put your thumbs and fingers together and gesture.
Yeah, that's what makes it.
It makes that noise.
I figured it was kind of like Stitch with the record player, where if you just
yeah. Oh yeah, and it happens when I flick my thumb on the edge of my top row of teeth. That's what starts it.
Oh, I can make Seamus Kennedy songs come from my toes.
In case you weren't skeeved out enough by Jeff in this game confirms that Jeff is 500 years old. And he tried to marry a 12-year-old.
Yeah, multiple times.
An additional Jeff lore, we finally know his full name.
His last name, we know his surname, Jeff Littlelegs. So Jeff Littlelegs is 500 years old.
Jeff Littlelegs, we know, this is why we play the games. We know Jeff Littlelegs, we know Bill Mischief Cypher.
We know that their names are Dipper and Mabel. I was a little confused about that.
What?
Yeah, you might have missed it. It's just like it's easy to miss.
Which episode?
It's in the game. I know that for sure because we just played it.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember now.
Well, we also found out that Thompson can't die, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, the game doesn't imply that. We decided that.
Oh yeah, good times.
Now, what was the thing I said we want to put in the pod?
About shooting and killing Thompson.
Yeah, the Thompson's death or lack thereof.
Okay, Thompson cannot die.
I feel all the pain associated with dying, just not.
It doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
What I do, I've referred to it as death adjacent.
And at the end of the game, when the Gemulets are finally all retrieved and the final bosses are defeated, they get thrown down the bottomless pit. So there's some more continuity in there.
And then
does that make you happy, Ella?
It makes me happy because then the game ends.
My favorite part was the ending. It was over.
The credits were were clever because of the bottom screen.
Yeah, I honestly think the credits sequence is one of the best parts of the game because not only does the whole game look nice, really, but also at that point you don't have to play it anymore.
Yeah, as well as they give you the bottom screen shows the Gemulets falling in the pitch black of the bottomless pit.
The bottomless screen.
The bottomless screen.
That's what DS stands for.
Yes.
So you hear D's as B's?
I'm a ventriloquist. So they're the same to me.
Yeah, got it.
The doy dot the desk.
Yeah.
Someone caught a Doug reference. I was not on my bingo card today.
That boy just say, "What's a battle?" I said, "What's
No.
that rattle?" I've had a cold, so you hear R's as B's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I'm not going to question that any further.
He doesn't want. He doesn't need.
He doesn't like it.
He doesn't understand it.
I
Just
love,
doesn't.
I love that clip because you can just tell from the delivery that it was ad-libbed. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And that's why we have steamed hams.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we also get the lore drop that Schmebulok reads philosophy books. He has a collection. There's also a message that reads, when you collect all of them on the bottom screen, when you collect all of his philosophy books, it'll tell you that Schmebulok builds imaginary friends from stacks of philosophy books.
Oh, I'll be
I imagine they're
Schmebulok's
also
friend.
all named Schmebulok?
He has to name them, but he can. Can he write?
Well, maybe
Oh,
maybe he wrote those philosophy books. I mean, if Jeff has been alive for 500 years and Schmebulok possibly a similar
Longer.
amount, maybe
because Jeff's beard is still brown. Schmebulok's is gray.
yeah. So maybe he is Immanuel Kant. So there's no. proof.
I was saying that I would really, really like to see Schmebulok in the Zizek I would prefer not to t-shirt.
Schmebulok. Translated, I would prefer not to. Although, Schmebulok Sr. was alive as late as the 80s, so maybe
That's
he
true.
read philosophy to Schmebulok at night. Maybe that was their...
Yeah, I mean, we never know that Schmebulok Senior can only say Schmebulok because we only see him in one
That's
scene.
true. He actually can say senior, so that means he can say
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
2 words, and we have no knowledge if he can say a third.
That's right.
But he might.
So he could probably read out those books back when he was alive. R.I.P. Pour one out.
Oh
I
man,
probably shouldn't. This room is carpeted. It might get kind
And has put a lot of wires in that room.
of. There's so many.
Well, then why don't we move out of that,
This room,
Particular
yes, that's a
room.
good point. That's a good
move
point.
into a different
So,
room that isn't...
different room. The Hall of
carpeted.
Conspiracies. We love pouring beer on the floor all the time. It's
Or any
It's
kind of
safe
beverage,
there.
really.
Whoa! I almost slipped. Sorry.
it's safe there. We decided.
That's our catchphrase now. We decided. We say that all the time.
Yes.
We decided.
Do I say that all the time?
You do. Have you not noticed?
Okay, there's a lot of parts of my speech that I don't catch until someone
Oh,
puts
okay.
it out
Well,
to
that's
me.
fun.
I didn't do that one on purpose.
Are you ready to head over to the Hall of Conspiracies, Jenny?
I am.
And pour beer on the floor?
We'll have to stop by the Mystery Shack first, though, and then also the Gnome Forest.
Did you need to get around
Oh,
something
you're
from
right.
the
Yeah,
mystery-
okay. No. Yeah, we can't go to the Hall of Conspiracies before going to the Gnome Forest and then back to the Mystery Shack.
Why?
To make the episode longer.
Well, those questions aside, Stan, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, right this way to the Hall of Conspiracy.
And, that was an eventful trip. We talked to Jeff, then we went to the Mystery Shack, we talked to Stan,
Welcome to Mystery Shack Backtrack.
then we talked to Seuss, and then we talked to Stan again, and now we're here.
Yeah, it wasn't exhausting. It was only the only way to program this part, you understand.
It
There
made
was
the game
no
longer.
alternatives.
Well,
Yeah,
it worked because Seuss made a joke about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
he did
also
make-
this
Ella,
podcast.
remember that joke Seuss made about it?
It was a good Seuss joke, and if
It was
it
a good
weren't
Seuss
for
joke?
yeah, that's I said it with that cadence. If it wasn't for that, this podcast would be 10 minutes shorter.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
And we don't want that.
No, yeah, no, because we want our listeners to hear all of me talking about Zelda or Weird Al or stuff.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So perhaps
The
what-
reward for beating the game is the answer is somewhat of an answer to the stupid baby question.
it's
from
not no,
Tale
but
of
it's
Two
not
Stands.
though. It's not an answer.
It's rewarded to you as if it was something you wanted and isn't an answer. That is correct.
Yes, it comes out of nowhere, but it is probably the thing that people most remember this game for, or if they didn't know about the game, this is how they find out about the game. So why don't we read through what Grunkle Stan tells the twins at the end of the game, after they throw the Gemulets into the bottomless pit.
Did I ever tell you that I was there the day you two were born?
I visited your mom and pop in the hospital. Still remember, like it was yesterday. Mabel came first.
Socks a doctor right in the jaw, my little fighter.
Dipper's face was blue. Umbilical cord must have wrapped around his neck or something.
When I got a hold of you two, I didn't want to let you go. I had to fight Grandpa Shermy just to keep you for another minute.
Anyway, about your Grandpa Shermy. That guy was a total square, let me tell ya. I mean, who wears a bow tie to the hospital? This one time.
So now we finally have the description of Shermy. His physical appearance.
Sort of?
He's a square and a bow tie.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He's a total square and he wears a tie?
Oh my god.
Tat Strange confirmed! Do you think that was this far enough ahead of all that happening that he could have written that line on purpose?
I think after, because it did say Alex did additional writing, so and he does say that he tries to look at all the fan theories. So I think he saw people more confused than pleased about Shermy and said, "Hey, can you put this as a reward for winning? It seems like this is something people were curious about."
And he says that Dipper's face was purple. Perhaps that isn't.
No, it was blue actually.
Oh,
but Ella will forgive you for that.
Thank
It happens
you.
to her all the
I
time.
can't tell the difference. Well, and if his face was purple, then Mabel could have broken his face because her sweater is purple.
Oh, true.
That's right.
No.
So it had to have been blue.
Yeah, maybe the reason Tat Strange doesn't exist is because he's purple and he's too afraid of Mabel. So
Mabel's sweater,
Oh,
yeah.
So Tat Strange does exist. He just will never go anywhere near the main character.
No.
Yeah.
I like that.
That makes sense. He exists elsewhere.
Bill's like, hey, I'm gonna go mess with those Pine Stones. You want to come, Tad? And Tad's like, no, did you see purple? Oh, right, I forgot about that whole thing. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, she has that sweater that could destroy anything that's purple for some stupid reason.
It's a sensitive spot for you. I'm sorry I brought that up.
Thank God they don't have any yellow sweaters in that town.
Yeah.
Thank God there are no yellows. Hey, wait, this is a no spoiler podcast. We shouldn't tell them about Mabel's Bill defeating Yellow Sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't talk about that from Weirdmageddon Part 3, the series finale.
But yeah, we do get the reveal that Dipper was strangled by the umbilical cord, which sometimes happens because childbirth is scary.
It is.
I was actually born jaundiced, so I was yellow, and my dad, believing that sunlight helps with jaundice, left me outside and forgot about me until I got a sunburn.
Oh, no.
So the first thing my sister, who is my best friend, ever said to me was, "Why is it orange?" Because I had a sunburn on top of jaundice.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so sometimes things like that happen when you're giving birth, and people don't really talk about those. So, you know, it's good that they brought that up. The subreddit responded to this. Kelpie Cat on the subreddit commented, "Is this at a point in the timeline when he would have been impersonating Ford?"
And then the red-eyed alien. Are those two friends? They have like a similar theming on their icons.
Probably.
Maybe.
Mabel and Dipper would have been born in 2000, and Ford went through the portal before the 90s, so yes.
Yeah, so Stan is neglecting to mention that while he visited Dipper and Mabel's parents in the hospital, they thought he was Stanford.
Which, that's one thing I wondered in this series. They never define the relationship between...
I mean, it would just be... it's not important because really it would just be like coming up with an excuse just to have one rather than writing something good for an audience.
But it isn't. I get the wondering about it though because it's
it is weird that Shermy at one point had two siblings named Stanley and Stanford, and then at a certain point had one sibling named Stanford who just talks and looks, who just has less fingers now and never bothered to worry about it.
I never even.
Although I think there was a good. I will have to find it now that I'm mentioning it. But someone did a comic about Stanley posing as Stanford and visiting Shermy and saying like, "Yeah, I finally got that surgery I meant to get." You know, all this. And Shermy's like, "Oh, I thought you liked that about yourself. I thought that made you special." He's like, and it made it into a nice moment. So, but yeah, it's why does Stanford suddenly, and I suppose that does lend credence to the idea that the baby is Shermy, because he might not be as familiar with how Stanley acts and talks.
That's true, because...
Might be more willing to believe. As well as, not only are they under the impression that he is Stanford, but they also believe that Stanley Pines is dead.
That's
weird.
That's weird.
Weird. It's
Weird.
really, it works really well when we're in this small isolated town and learning about it through 12-year-olds. If adults started talking about it, it wouldn't make any sense.
Nope.
So they just didn't write that part.
I don't know that it doesn't make sense so much as it's
a
scary.
big, well, it's a huge plot point that they just don't need to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot for.
I'm glad
this
they didn't go into it, but I still have that just kind of like fanfic brain where it's like, okay, but what if?
Well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, because it was written by people, and you're not supposed to think that hard about it.
And then why would it's a weird like they could have put a lot of like little lore drops at the end of this game. They
could have made a game that was fun. They actually could have taken another.
Yes, you're right.
Because we made Gravity Falls content a year after this game was released, and we're still turning in the big views. So they could have just spent a little extra time and made a good video game.
You're right, but what I'm saying is they could have dropped something that raised fewer questions about stuff that Alex still doesn't want to talk about, like Sherman.
Yep.
It is also where we get Season 2 Stan, finally, because he talks about, I wanted to hold the baby Dipper and Mabel so much that I had to fight.
That's also what makes me believe that Alex wrote that part to give someone a reward for finishing the game.
We forgot to mention it earlier, but they basically make the same joke 4 times.
They do indeed!
Yes! Because the joke from Season 1 where Stan's like, oh, I forgot the exact line.
Seems like the kind of thing a responsible parent wouldn't want you doing. Good thing I'm an uncle.
Remember, if you need to remember things about Gravity Falls,
Just ask
Mystery Shack, look back at gmail.com.
Exactly. But he basically makes that joke every time you see him in the shack between levels.
Yeah.
He'll be like,
every time you're about to go to another level, he's like, well, he said variation on that same joke.
Yeah, it's funny because it's again.
And what episode is that from?
Headhunters, Season 1, Episode 3.
And what episode is Jeff the Gnome from?
Tourist Trap, Season 1, Episode 1.
Okay, and then here you've written that there are various cryptograms in the game, and they're all in Caesar cipher. So when do we learn about the Caesar cipher?
Oh yeah, immediately.
Cool.
In the show.
Cool.
So the cryptograms we will read now.
Okay, so toward the start of the game, Jeff says, "Now begins the quest untold! The secrets of the Gemulets unfold!" He
says that in the cipher. So the text box, the dialogue box contains it in the Caesar cipher.
These are all, everything we're about to read is in Caesar cipher. They didn't put any other ciphers in because they didn't watch that many episodes and didn't know about them.
When the Gemulets are all collected, Jeff says, "Now before the hour's late, open my soul and seal their fate."
No, I want you to do just like a hiccup noise, like a sci-fi name.
Yeah, so they put in a lot of they insert apostrophes to make the ciphers, I guess, impossible to brute force, right? Because that way you can't...
They did that to make them look less like English, because that makes it look mystical.
Yeah, you're right. It's a Star Wars thing to do. All right,
because other languages are mystical.
With the apostrophes intact, Jeff says, "Now before the hours late, open my soul and seal their fate." Or their fate.
Let me try this next one.
No, you don't. You shouldn't. It's not fun to do. You can just read it.
Skies to earn black and forests. That's a hard one. Lead. One true leader now can lead.
See, there's an emotional through line. Jeff wants to be a better leader.
Now can lead.
Lead. Yeah, that's not.
Release the E-Spirit. Release the E-Spirit.
Stan responds to all of this with, what is that, Yiddish? Which,
that was a really good joke.
They remembered how Jewish that Gravity Falls is, and that the Pines are Jewish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never went. I never learned it that much. I
didn't go to Hebrew school or nothing, but
well, that means I would learn. I was gonna say that, but that would mean that I would be taught Hebrew, right?
Hebrew school is a school where you learn how to be Jewish.
Oh, okay.
They do teach you Hebrew, yes.
But not yet. But Yiddish is a different language, isn't it?
Yep, that's the there is a Eastern European Jewish language and a Middle Eastern Jewish language.
All right, I'm still Grunkle Stan, by the way.
That's fine. That doesn't bother me.
I didn't know all that stuff. But yeah, that was right as Jeff collects all the Gemulets and is about to betray you. So those cryptograms are meant to make him seem intimidating because he's Jeff the Gnome, and it's kind of hard to do that.
It is.
Yeah, but no, now he's not. Now he's Dark Jeff the Gnome, so now it's easy.
Scary. So when Jeff shows up to help you in the final boss against the Gemulet spirit, Gemularth, which is a thing, he says...
Yeah, Gemularth is the...
Gnome magic, I summon thee. I don't even know how to do the apostrophes in these.
Jeff shows up
that's Gnome magic. I summon the E.
Okay.
Summon these.
Summon thee. Okay.
Summon Fahuquapods.
Yeah. That's age appropriate to say.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jeff hops in on the final boss and upgrades your weapons in no way that is tangible in the gameplay, but you become slightly sparkly.
And we forgot to mention that the final boss is Gemularth, which is the...
Yeah, no, we didn't mention it because it's bad and stupid.
Doesn't make any... it's not even relevant. It's like...
Gemularth is, I guess, the spirit of the Gemulets that was possessing Dark Jeff, that was making Jeff into Dark Jeff, so this is just...
I think we forgot to mention it because the boss is exactly the same as every other boss fight in the game.
And
we actually did mention that one.
Yes.
So Jeff's upgrade isn't really an upgrade, it's more that at the start of the boss fight, you cannot hurt Gemularth at all, and then they point that out, and then Jeff comes along and gives you a quote-unquote upgrade, but all it does is allow you to now Gemularth's invincibility is turned off.
So there's no
It's not an upgrade to your weapon.
So it's just a way to block off that section of gameplay.
It's like someone is biking, and then you steal their bike, and then you give it back, and it's like, I gave you a bike.
You can't get past this area. There's a tree in the way. Unless one of your Pokemon knows Cut, there's nothing you could do.
Exactly.
A post-credits sequence begins with, "The true forest protector was with us all along," revealing a clip of Gompers the goat, who eats the Gemulets when they come back up from the bottomless pit. My favorite character is the true forest protector, and I could have told you that episode 1, but I'm glad it was canonically revealed so I can no longer be wrong.
Yeah, the code at the after the credits.
I was never wrong.
So.
I was never wrong. I'm saying so that no one can tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah,
because I'm right.
Then you can just point to the code at the end of the credits of Legend of the Gnome Gemulets, which no one will see because no one wants to finish this bad game.
No, I wouldn't want to do that.
So they'll just have to trust you.
Yes,
they should, and I feel they should. That is what I'm saying.
When you bring Schmebulok all of his philosophy books, he says, all in code, divided over 3 dialogue boxes.
Mine is but a solitary existence. I read, I ponder, I stare at the heavens. Bounteous is our world, but cruel is the master of it who condemned me to say but only my name. Perhaps my isolation is my gift, for it is only in the separation from others that a mind can truly be free.
And then there are 2 more listed on the wiki that I couldn't find context for because I don't feel like playing the game that much, but I think probably the second one is said by Waddles at some point, because the wiki said that Waddles says some cryptograms. The first one is just, "Bless you, Elder Schmebulok," which might be said by one of the gnomes at some point. And Jenny, why don't you read the what I believe is a Waddles cryptogram?
It sounds like something Waddles would say. "All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream."
Thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson Waddles.
We need to go deeper.
We need to go dipper.
I get it. Because of the show Gravity Falls. Have you ever seen it?
I have. Have you seen it, Jenny?
I've seen a few episodes.
I've overseen this show. I've seen everything in this show, almost.
Me too. And Jenny, thank you for allowing yourself to be on the first bad Gravity Falls content that we talk about.
Of course, because in a way,
well, we had the unaired pilot, which was okay. We had
nothing that I would classify on. There's nothing that I would give below a 50%.
Yeah, so I would say the unaired pilot 50%. I would give Off the Wall 60. Honestly, I actually like that.
I like both of them.
And Dipper vs. Manliness 50. Last Mabelcorn, honestly 70, 80. Good episode.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a single bad episode of Gravity Falls, but there's a bad Gravity Falls game for the Nintendo 3DS, and we found that out together, Jenny.
Yes, and it made for a good episode of Mystery Shack Look Back.
That's true.
I have played so much shovelware that was just thrown onto consoles that I no longer recognize what is a good and bad video game. So I love this when I play.
I feel like I'm in the minority in this group because you both agree that it's like fine because you've played way more video games than I have.
Right. You've played a lot of good video games. Jenny and I have played video games all around the quality spectrum.
Yeah.
And remember that in the video where I talk about this game, I also talk about the Legend of Korra game where the cutscenes are literally made like PowerPoint presentations. So.
And if you want to check out that video, it's in the description.
Yes.
This podcast will be coming out at the end of May. If you have any other videos coming out you'd like to plug.
What do you got to plug, Jenny? Let's plug it up here.
So I have my YouTube channel where I do video essay and review stuff. It's youtube.com/Jenny Geist vids. I'm also on Twitter at Jenny Geist _ and Patreon at just Jenny Geist. I was able to secure that one. And
yeah, give Jenny money.
Yes, I've done videos about everything from licensed games to DVD menu games to stories about the metaverse to stuff about it. Yes.
Thank you for reminding me that the DVD menu, because I got the push notification for that one and I was out, but I was like, I am obsessed with that topic.
Yep.
Yes.
That one's fantastic.
Thank you.
I love the video essay about The Matrix and Ready Player One in the metaverse.
Yes.
And you got me to. I did it. Well, no, because it's a good video essay mainly, but also I got to do a little voice cameo.
Yeah, a little Ella in that video.
Got a little. There's a little Ella in all of us. In fact, you might even say we just ate Ella, and she's in our stomachs right now. Oh, wait. Scratch that last part.
If you want to find episodes of this podcast where we're in a good mood, those are all available. All 44 of them at this point.
Plus a ton of bonus episodes. Right?
We talk about Matrix.
We do.
And how game developers are bad. Those are all available on the website pipedreampodcasts.com. And also available on that website are other podcasts. There's Escape from Walt Disney. There's How Did This Not Get Made? And there's Come On Fahookwa Pods.
That's right, because it's Pipe Dream Podcasts, plural. It's not pipedreampodcast.com, where it just has Mystery Shack Look Back.
And our good friend David Spencer made sure to make the website that's the hardest to enunciate, to make the spelling clear to those who are driving.
Yeah.
Podcasts. There were a few, in our early episodes, if you recall, I actually had to direct you to hit that both S's super hard.
Oh, yeah?
Podcasts.
Well, hopefully people know it by now.
And Jenny, you scored patreon.com/Jenny Geist, and that's a little more impressive, but I still want to brag. We got patreon.com/Mystery Shack.
Ooh. Yeah, that's right. You can find it, as well as links to our show's social medias and our Discord server, but at our Patreon, which is also linked through pipedreampodcasts.com, $3 will get you a shout-out at the end of the episode.
You have to do a TJ Miller impression for anyone to understand what you're saying. Podcasts!
$5 will get you into viewing parties for the episode. Tonight in the Discord, we won't be playing this game. We will probably just watch a Season 1 episode or something. We'll watch the 2 episodes that the developers of the game watch. We will be watching Tourist Trapped and Headhunters.
Those are good episodes.
I like that.
And $40 will get you a voice commission from Charlie or an art commission from me. Ella.
I would stream this game to the Patreon if you wanted me to. I don't mind playing this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that then. You can check out our merch store at crowdmade.com/collections/Mystery Shack Lookback. And you can contact us at mysteryshacklookback@gmail.com if you want to share your Gravity Falls fandom experiences.
Or need our help researching a Gravity Falls project.
Or just your experiences with this podcast itself.
Tell us, actually, you know what? Have you played Legend of the Gnome Gemulets? What is your experiences with Legend of the Gnome Gemulets?
I'm going to make kind of a group therapy session for people who want to
in our email.
Hi, I'm Ella. It has been 30 days since I last played Legend. No, that would mean that I'm addicted to it. That's not.
No, it's more like I also actually grew up playing that game, so I know how the trauma can affect you, and I'm here for you.
It's hard. It's really hard. I think about Dark Jeff every night before I go to sleep, and then while I'm asleep, I think about Gremularth, and that's worse.
Well, this is. Admitting that it's affecting you is the first step of healing.
You know what? You're right, and there's times where I backslide. There's times where I see something purple and I think, Mabel's sweater could. No, I'm done. I'm past that part of my life.
I'm really glad that Adam New had stitched that spit-colored sweater.
Oh yeah. That way he could remove our spit. Thank you to Pry and Brian for voicing Stan in the Hall of Conspiracies intro, and thank you to Simon the Dimbulb V2-0 for making the chiptune cover of our theme song that you heard at the top, as well as the Hall of Conspiracies theme. which is Lentil Dentist, a remix of our first episode, and you can listen to that at the link in the description. Thank you to Tsunami Holmes on Tumblr for the Stanford handwriting font that's in our thumbnail. Thank you to our editor of this episode, Elizabeth Nordenholt from Podcat Audio. Check out podcataudio.com for more information. And Jenny, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I was very excited that you were interested.
Yes, thank you so much for
having me. You are a
having
wonderful friend and a wonderful person and a wonderful video essayist, and I love you, Jenny.
And Jenny, now we're friends. Now we can be friends.
we're friends.
That's how it works.
And now all of you out there are now friends with. No, that is decidedly not how it works. That is called parasocial.
This is an exclusive club. It's me, Charley, Ella. No one else is allowed to be friends with any of us.
No one else is allowed to have friends.
No, and I really think we should sue the television show Friends for kind of cramping on our brand. But I also...
Because I told them life was going to be that way. And they claimed they were like, oh, nobody told it. I told you. I told all 6 of you.
Sorry, I instinctively clapped a couple times after you said that sentence.
Okay, you're supposed to. That means that we synced up a bunch of times.
Yes. So we're gonna get out of here for today, but next week...
Well, not before we go to the Gnome Forest and the Mystery
That's
Shack.
right, we have to do all of those terrible things first.
Do you want to come with us on that, Jenny? Or
of course.
But listeners, next week, June 1st, we are releasing a podcast discussion on the Gravity Falls episode Zippik Viak Foxo, also known as Weird Mageddon Part 1, featuring David Spencer, Alexa Cuizon, and Michael William Hunter, also known as the Fahukwa Gods.
The hosts of
We're in finale territory, baby. It's time for a crossover.
What is that? A crossover episode?
You'll have to find out what that is next week.
I'll have to find out what a crossover episode is.
As for right now, I will actually let Jenny pick if Sim will play us out with bleeps or bloops.
I'm a little more of a bloop woman myself.
Are you feeling them? This is why we get along so well, because I was thinking bloops as well.
Yeah.
I was kind of on the cuff, but I trust your opinions because you're my friend, so bloop it away, Sim.
Hey, YouTube Ford.
Hello, Table Read Stan. Care to explain what you're doing in my lab?
Well, I charged a bunch of people a lot of money just to say their names. Suckers. Anyway, there's a lot of them, and I don't feel like, reading them all myself. You want to do some?
I have many moral objections to this, but you've tempted me with an organized list. Thank you, too. Daddy Driftwood.
And Daddy Buttons.
Friendly Local Geek.
Fun Boringness.
Hugh Salinas.
Juno Series, I guess it's pronounced.
Liz Clark.
David, oh boy, okay. Gansel?
You got it, yes, Gansel.
Aren't you Mr. Fancy?
I was voted Mr. Fancy 5 years running.
Don't remind me, I remember.
Richard Scanland.
Jamie Belts. I want to belt a couple of shots of whiskey after this list. Go ahead.
Ryan Faber.
Stephen Patrick Mulholland. Oh, Mulholland Drive. Very interesting. All right.
It's a good film. Gwen Prime.
Junior Bruh.
Joseph Jones.
Olive Pluto.
Oliver. There's an R there, Stan.
Oh, Oliver Pluto. I'm sorry. I was distracted by the object that's no longer a planet at the end.
Kuiper object. That's the term.
Whatever for. That was your thing, not mine. Oliver Pluto.
Petey Piranha Plant.
Elizabeth Neuenfeld.
Mumpleteen D. Wumpleteen.
Oh boy, these kids these days. Vanillin Sucker.
Zucker, not sucker.
Whatever. He's a sucker. He might be a Zucker, but he's also a sucker. Vanillin Zucker.
Ro Davis.
Adam with 2 A's, a D, and an M.
Delphine Dussy.
May. Just May.
Jessie Marie McDougal.
B. Calisoda.
Rich Rawl.
Easy Snake Oven.
Samantha Angley. And Spencer Neil Campbell. Stan, what are all these patrons paying for anyway?
Oh, just the essentials. This brown meat doesn't buy itself.
Nor does Fully Clothed Women magazine, evidently.
Hey, keep your hands off that. Help me stock up for the apocalypse at patreon.com/Mystery Shack.